Hello there, broadcasting 24 hours a day, you're watching RT. The US House of Representatives has approved a controversial bill designed to prevent the country from potentially sliding back into recession. The fiscal cliff deal, passed earlier by the Senate, will prevent nationwide tax hikes and spending cuts from coming into force, at least for the time being. The House Republicans wanted to amend the bill, but then decided they didn't have enough support to make last-minute changes to the motion. The tug-of-war over the text revolved around a Democrat-promoted increase in income tax for the rich, for the first time in 2 decades. Let's get some reaction to this now from financial analyst Francis Lun, who joins us live here on RT. Thanks for joining us. Well, of course, it's not over yet. Lawmakers still have to thrash out these massive spending cuts. So will this bill safeguard the US economy from a new recession, do you think?
Well, not really, because they really leave out 2 really big questions that they will have to tackle in the in 1 or 2 months' time. The number 1 priority will be the debt ceiling. The U.S. government already reached the debt ceiling of $16.3 trillion US, and they are using some tricks to get over, to tie the U.S. government over for 2 months. But then in February, they have nowhere to go. They have to go back to the Congress and request a hike in the debt ceiling. And remember in the 2011, it was really after a very bitter debate that they raised the debt ceiling. And the other one is the long-term solution to the budget deficit, the fiscal deficit. It's running to $1 trillion US a year. The tax increase and spending cuts they promised only reduce the deficit by something like $200 billion. It is way short. The U.S. government have to cut the deficit to 0 or actually to surplus in order to pay off the huge debt.
Okay, so now we're talking about very big figures. As you say, we're talking about very big figures here. I mean, you know all about China, which is the largest nation holder of American debt. How much leverage does Beijing have over the U.S. economy, or even vice versa?
Not really. I don't think China has that much leverage over U.S. because time and time again, the U.S. government vetoed Chinese investment in the U.S. Although China holds about $1 trillion US in U.S. debt, but the U.S. government can just print money, ask the Federal Reserve to print $1 trillion US of money and buy those treasury bills. So I don't think China has that much leverage on the U.S. at all.
And President Obama claims Washington is making progress in beating back the effects of the financial downturn. I mean, what will it take for the U.S. to reach and maybe even surpass its own pre-crisis economic level?
Well, I think the number 1 is really for the housing market to recover, which has already done since last June. And the home prices are back to the, not yet back to the 2006 level, but it's the highest in 3 or 4 years already. The other one is really for the unemployment rate to fall back to the 6% level, which it still has some way to go. It's still 8%. And so the U.S. government has to put at least 2 million more Americans to work to really claim victory over the financial tsunami.
And how are the latest events in the U.S., all this talk of fiscal cliffs, affecting the global economy?
Well, of course, if the U.S. government could not reach a deal to avoid the fiscal cliff, it will take something like 2% of the U.S. economy, and it will affect exporters worldwide from Asia to Europe. And by some calculation, even China's growth rate will be affected by maybe 0.5%. So at least in the export sector, I think it will affect the world. But by avoiding the fiscal cliff, I think you can look forward to a marginal increase in U.S. imports. I think that would be good for the global economy.
Okay, live from Hong Kong, Francis Lin, thank you, Managing Director of Lin Seeing Holdings. Thank you.